Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation on this Thursday, June 13th. I'm Jarom Jordan alongside Jason Shepard. We welcome to the program Blaine Fowler, longtime BYUtv Sports Analyst. Blaine, welcome to the show, man. Let's dive right in. Big 12 discussions this morning. Source of the Big 12 considering two financial boons. First, naming rights could be the, as we joke, the Coke 12 or something like that. What's your reaction to the potential of a naming rights deal as reported by Pete Thamel?
Hey, since there's no longer a Pac-12, maybe it should be the Nike Big 12. You know, I don't know.
Paging Phil Knight.
Yeah, Uncle Phil chiming in with some cash.
Oregon's going to be in the Big 12 or in the Big 10, so I guess that one doesn't work for us. But yeah, it's a really interesting concept, and you wondered when things were going to go that direction. Shep, you mentioned, I was listening to your guys' previous segment, that everybody compares these leagues based on just their television rights, and that's how they're like, well, how's anybody going to compete with the SEC and the Big Ten? The Pac-12 couldn't get those media rights down, and that's how they valued everything. But now all of a sudden you bring private equity in, you bring naming rights in. Now it's like all of these other sources of revenue that brings this revenue stream in that can allow the Big 12, if they do it right, with the kind of commissioner they have that's so plugged into the entertainment business and marketing and all that, that the Big 12 doesn't have to have the same dollar revenue coming in from television rights as the SEC to compete and to have the same type of facilities and the same type of revenue going to each team. So you figured at some point it was going to be privatized. I wonder how the balance between, and you mentioned this, Jarom, between actually going to school and this just being a feeder program for professional sports, how do we keep that balance? Do we really want it to be university-based and needs to be so-called student athletes, or is this just a minor professional league now? That's the hard part.
So, Blaine, though, I love this idea, but are we basically going to just be in the exact same boat, though, when the other conferences who already have more money because of the media rights, then they decide to go do the private equity, and then that gap then widens again? Is that the inevitable or the inevitability of all this if this works for the Big 12?
That's the worry of it. But honestly, I just think about it. Is there a commissioner in college sports
No.
In a better position than the Big 12's commissioner to put these types of deals together? I think he's and if you just look at past experience, now, of course, commissioners of other conferences can bring in people that are good at this, but this is the commissioner of the league in your mark that this is what he does. He's so plugged in to monetizing things and marketing things and running sports and entertainment business properties. I think he's in the best position of any commissioner in America to lead out on this and to cooperate and coordinate and get support from corporate folks. So while the SEC, somebody may look at it and they go, well, they get more eyeballs on it. Well, that's reflected in the television media rights. But your mark will figure out ways to bring value to whoever the investors are in this. He's so brilliant with the way he does it. He already negotiated a television contract extension that's bigger than we thought, because he's talked to these to television entities about, hey, we can do this. This is something we can do that's unique. You can have behind the scenes access. We can provide that. He thinks outside of the box. That puts the Big 12 in a great position as we go into this, I guess we can call it a new era of privatizing or monetizing college sports with big business.
It is very interesting, given his background, as you mentioned, relative to marketing and business and Rock Nation and Nets and so on and so forth. Let's see where this goes. In the article from Dennis Dodd in CBS Sports, he talks about how CVC investment firm would want the league to stay together past 2031, the current media rights deal. Do you think that the teams would actually want that? Because the vibe I get from that team up north is that they have bigger ambitions for what they think are greener pastures. But we'll see what college football looks like. Does the NCAA exist past 2031 or in the next 5 years? I don't know. This is moving very quickly, as we've all talked about.
Yeah, and think about this. If this happens, this could obsolete the NCAA, but it wouldn't obsolete the contracts that league has if they do rights grant of rights for television rights, for private equity, and they're tied into long-term contracts and the buyout's big. So whether the NCAA exists or not, this maybe gives you stability. And it's interesting, you talk about Utah. Kyle made a couple of comments, Kyle Whittingham, my old roommate, about who knows what's going to happen. I think the deck's going to be reshuffled. I don't know that he ever came out and said, hey, we're going to the Big Ten or we're going to the SEC. If they're going to the Big Ten, wouldn't they be in it right now?
Yes, that's the fan base desire is my vibe.
Right. Kyle made a comment that everybody really read into. And Kyle's comment, I think, was more about everything's so unstable right now. Who knows what I mean, this thing could all reshuffle again in a few years. I really don't think he was saying, no, we're in the Big 12 short term, and then we're going to get to the SEC, the Big 10. I think he was saying something like exactly what we're talking about right now could change the whole face of college sports. I think he's just looking, going, man, it just feels unsettled still. This doesn't feel like the last of it. Now, I don't know that he saw that private equity and big business was going to come in and have a big role, but I think Kyle's just feeling a little uneasy about the long term of all of it, right? And so that's why I made that comment. Then everybody read into it. Yeah, they're going to bigger and better things. They're only going to be in the Big 12 short term. They don't want to be in the Big 12. I think a little bit of misreading of what he said has gone into it, and then the fan base of Utah has just grasped onto this, saying, "Yeah, we're going to bigger and better things." Maybe the bigger and better things are being in the Big 12 and having a revenue stream that's double or triple what's currently there with corporate sponsorships and all kinds of things like that. That may be the big change that we see as they talk about it today. It's really an interesting concept.
Blaine, we're just a couple of weeks away from Football Media Day in Las Vegas, and so obviously that means that the Big 12 preseason media poll will be coming out, and we've been talking about where BYU should be, where we think they'll be. What do you anticipate in terms of BYU when that media poll comes out?
I think they're going to be toward the bottom. Now, we have a little bit more insight than the rest of the media that will vote on it. With some of the people that have come in, some of the people that they brought in as transfers last year that now have a year under their belts. A long talk with Darius Lassiter, and he was talking to me about times last year when Jake's in the game playing quarterback, who's also a new guy that didn't plan on being the guy, planned on making some, playing some at the end of the year, but not being the guy down the stretch, right? You have all these young guys, first-year guys in on that offense. Remember, when they started the year, there were 7 first-year transfers on that offense. And Lassiter was saying to me, there were times that Jake would make a check, and I would think to myself, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Then he would look over to his right to get some help, and he'd be like, oh, Keelan doesn't know what he's doing either. And Keelan would give him that wide-eyed look like, do you know what route we run on this? And then LJ Martin's in the backfield saying to Jake, hey, what do I do on this play? And Jake's turning around and telling him, and then he turns back around and says, oh, and by the way, the count's on 2, right? You can't underestimate how much impact, and then a bunch of new guys on the offensive line, right? And so 1 year later, I have this sneaking suspicion that Jake getting thrown in the fire is gonna be pretty good if he ends up being the guy and make a big step forward. And then when I talked to Darius, I said, what about now? And Darius says, now? Oh, Keelan, me, LJ, like all of us first-timers. Not only do I know what I'm supposed to do on every play and every check, I know what every other receiver on the field. Now somebody looks to me, I can be the guy that tells them what they're supposed to do. And now I'm taking my game to the next level, where I'm understanding what this route as a concept is supposed to do to the defense and what my role in that is. That's a giant step. And that giant step, I think, will show itself on the field. BYU's defense was pretty solid last year. I think they take a big step forward. I think Jack Kelly, and I've said this on this show before, is going to emerge as one of the best linebackers in the league. He's an all Big 12 guy in my estimation, and a great leader. And so they got the folks back they need defensively. So I think BYU's going to surprise some people. If I was putting them in a poll right now, I have them like 6th or 7th in my poll, because I know from the inside what I think they'll do better. Yeah, so I have them way higher than most. To me, there's a group of 4 or 5 teams that any one of those could win the league. There's unbelievable parity in this league. Yep. Like, as I was putting mine together, I put West Virginia at 9, and then I asked myself, what the heck are you talking about? Like, how can West Virginia be 9? The way they played the end of the year, and having White back, and having Donaldson back at quarterback. I'm like, and they were one of the most physical teams in the league last year and finished strong. What am I talking about? How can I have them 9? but I have them 9. But to me, West Virginia could finish in the top 4 if they get on a roll. That's how unpredictable this league is. Like, to try to figure it out, there's just so many teams that could step up, and so many teams that we may have too big of expectations for. That I think anyone that acts like they really know what's going to happen is really fooling themselves. Because I'd like to think I know. I have BYU at 7. I know more about them than most because I watched them through all of spring ball. I don't think they're going to be as bad as people think they're going to take a step forward. I have Kansas State winning the league on my ballot.
That's pretty good. I like it. We have plenty of time to discuss and break it all down. Blaine, we appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Blaine.
Good to talk to you guys. See ya.